Everything is energy, including the connection you share with the person who occupies your mind, appears in your dreams, and shows up in every synchronicity the universe places in your path. This isn't poetry, it is physics. It reflects the quantum reality that influences every interaction between two individuals who have connected at depths the physical world cannot fully measure. What happens within your energetic field sends out subtle ripples that move through unseen dimensions, reaching them, influencing them, and shifting the dynamic between you. And they sense this, whether they consciously understand it or not. Researchers studying quantum entanglement have revealed something that spiritual traditions have expressed for thousands of years. Two particles that were once connected remain linked across any distance, responding to one another instantly, shifting when the other shifts, moving in harmony beyond space and time. Your connection with this person functions in a similar way, held together by threads that cannot be broken by distance, silence, long periods of separation, or even their belief that they have moved on. Every shift in your awareness creates a parallel shift in theirs. Whenever your frequency rises, it sends signals through the collective field that links all consciousness. They receive these signals in ways their rational mind cannot fully interpret. Carl Jung understood this through his concept of the collective unconscious, a vast shared field of awareness where all souls are interconnected, where separation is an illusion and connection is the underlying truth. Your energy and theirs are not independent. They are waves within the same expansive ocean. And when you change your frequency, you influence the entire system you both belong to. This isn't imagination. This is the nature of energetic law. This is how the universe works at its most fundamental level. Right energy is everything in the comments below to align yourself with this frequency and signal to the quantum field that you are ready to work with these laws rather than resist them. To step into your role as the creator of your reality. The physics of attraction operate through principles that may seem contradictory to the logical mind. Yet they become clear once you understand energy and how it moves through space and consciousness. When you chase, reach, or pursue with intensity, urgency, or need, you generate an energetic frequency that actually repels the very person you want to draw closer. This is not about emotion, it is simply physics. It is the basic law of polarity that influences all manifestation in both the physical and non-physical realms. Energy gravitates toward completeness, toward what appears whole within itself, toward what does not depend on anything outside of its own state of being. Energy pulls back from desperation, grasping, or the vibration of lack that declares, "I am incomplete without you." That frequency sends a message the universe reads as, "I am not ready to receive." Masculine energy is driven to pursue, to seek, and to move toward what maintains distance and remains somewhat mysterious, what does not surrender immediately. Feminine energy is designed to receive, to attract, and to become magnetic by remaining centered and whole rather than chasing what is outside itself. When you pursue this person through repeated messages, calls, explanations, or attempts to justify yourself, you step into the masculine pursuing role, regardless of gender, which pushes them into the feminine retreating role. This dynamic creates an imbalance that feels off to both of you on a deeper, energetic level. They pull away not because they don't care, but because the energetic dynamic has become misaligned. Your pursuing energy has pushed them into a position where their only response is to retreat, to create distance, and to restore balance by moving in the opposite direction. This isn't personal rejection, though it feels like it and affects you in places you didn't know existed. It is simply energy trying to return to equilibrium. It is the universe showing that you stepped out of your own center and placed your power in their hands instead of keeping it grounded within yourself. They feel the pressure of your need, and it triggers their instinct to escape, to breathe, to find space where they can exist without feeling responsible for your emotional state. The moment you stop pursuing, the moment you withdraw your reach across the gap between you, something significant shifts within the energetic field that connects your consciousness and theirs. Nature dislikes a vacuum. This is not just a metaphor, but a physical principle. When you remove the energy of desperation that once filled the space, the universe responds by filling that vacuum with movement, change, and a rebalancing of forces that had been leaning too far in one direction. They sense this shift before you say anything, before your behavior changes, before any external sign confirms that something is different. Your energetic withdrawal registers in their system as a disruption, an unexpected absence of something their mind and nervous system had grown accustomed to. Even if they consciously rejected it, even if they insisted they wanted you to stop caring so intensely, the human system adapts to the energy it consistently receives. When that familiar energy suddenly disappears, subconscious alarms activate. Questions arise without logical explanations, and the person who was running begins to wonder why the pursuit has ended. This is the moment when the chaser-runner dynamic starts to reverse. This is the point where the energy begins moving in the opposite direction, and the person who was pulling away starts to turn back, begins to wonder where you disappeared to, and notices your absence in ways they never noticed your presence. Carl Jung observed that what we resist continues to persist, that whatever we push away grows stronger in the background. This principle operates clearly in the dynamic between you and this person who lingers in your thoughts. When you were chasing, they resisted, and your pursuit only intensified. But when you stop chasing, when you stop resisting their absence and accept the space between you, the entire dynamic shifts at its core. They begin to think of you more, not less. They start to question what you are doing, who you are spending time with, whether you have moved on, or if someone else now values what they overlooked. These questions arise during quiet moments, in the space between sleep and waking, in the hours when the ego loosens its grip and the deeper self becomes more aware. They begin to understand that something meaningful may have slipped from their hands, that the person who was always present is now nowhere to be found. This realization creates a pull, a magnetic force that draws them back toward you without any effort on your part. You and this person act as mirrors, reflecting each other's unresolved wounds, unconscious behaviors, and energetic patterns in a continuous exchange that persists until one of you breaks the cycle by healing internally. This is the mirror effect Carl Jung described when he spoke about projection. The way we notice qualities in others often reflects what exists within our own psyche. External relationships mirror our internal states with remarkable accuracy if we are willing to recognize the reflection. What you see as their coldness mirrors your own fear of closeness. What you interpret as their rejection reflects your own self-rejection. What you view as their inability to commit mirrors your own uncertainty about deserving commitment. This isn't about blame, it is simply energetic law. This is how consciousness uses relationships to reveal what we struggle to see on our own. When we look inward, these individuals become perfect mirrors because they trigger what needs healing. They activate the exact wounds that require attention. The universe is so precise that it brings you the person who can show you what you need to confront. You cannot change them. This is the truth that brings freedom. You cannot fix them, heal them, or persuade them to become who you want them to be. But you can change yourself. You can heal your own wounds. You can shift your own frequency. And that shift affects everything. When you heal the pattern within yourself, the mirror changes and the reflection transforms. The person in your life will either rise to match your new frequency or drift out of your experience to make room for someone aligned with your growth. This is why focusing on them keeps you stuck. This is why obsessing over their behavior traps you in the same pattern, because you focus on the reflection instead of turning toward what is creating it. When you go inward and commit to healing, integrating, and raising your vibration, the external mirror naturally adjusts in response. They feel these shifts in their own system. They respond to your frequency shift, whether or not they consciously understand what is happening. The entire dynamic transforms from the inside out. Jung taught that beneath individual consciousness flows the collective unconscious, a vast shared reservoir where all minds connect, where the boundaries between self and other dissolve, and where your thoughts and theirs intermingle in waters deeper than the personal ego can navigate. You and this person are linked through these subterranean channels, pathways that exist below waking awareness. This connection explains the synchronicities you notice, the dreams where they appear with messages your conscious mind struggles to decode, the moments when you think of them and your phone illuminates with their name. This is not coincidence. This is the collective unconscious at work. It is your souls communicating in a language the ego cannot fully hear or understand. The rational mind may dismiss these experiences as random, as wishful thinking, or as the brain imposing patterns where none exist. But the soul knows better. The soul recognizes the truth that Jung documented throughout his career, validated by thousands of patients who reported similar experiences of telepathic connection, precognitive dreams, and clusters of synchronistic events around significant relationships. Your connection to this person functions on multiple levels simultaneously. The physical level, where you may or may not interact. The emotional level, where feelings travel across distance. The mental level, where thoughts influence subtly. And the spiritual level, where your souls remain in constant communication regardless of what the conscious personalities are doing. When you raise your frequency, heal your wounds, and step into your power, these shifts register across all levels of connection. They send waves through the collective unconscious that reach them deeply, touching places their guarded, surface self cannot block. They dream of you when you release them. They think of you when you stop thinking of them. They feel drawn to reach out when you finally make peace with their absence. This is the paradox of soul-level connection. This is how the collective unconscious operates. This is why detachment creates attraction while grasping creates distance. Detachment is often misunderstood in manifestation work. It is confused with not caring, mistaken for giving up, or seen as the death of desire, when it is actually the birth of true magnetic power. Detachment does not mean you stop loving this person. It does not mean you stop hoping for reunion. It does not mean severing the energetic cords that connect you. Detachment means you stop needing a specific outcome. You stop tying your happiness to their return. You stop collapsing your entire emotional stability based on whether they respond or not. This is outcome independence. This is the frequency that allows manifestation to occur because it removes resistance, the desperation, the energetic tension that blocks the flow of what you desire. When you need them to come back, when your peace depends on their decision, when your sense of worth relies on whether they choose you, you generate an energetic frequency of lack, incompleteness, and I am not enough as I am right now. The universe does not respond to your words, it responds to your frequency. The frequency of need only attracts more experiences of lack, more situations where you feel separate from what you desire, more evidence that you do not yet have it. When you detach from the outcome, when you make peace with any result, when you reach a place where you are genuinely okay, whether they return or not, you shift into the frequency of abundance, of completeness, of I am whole regardless of external circumstances. This is the frequency that magnetizes. This is the vibration that attracts. This is the energetic signature that draws everything you desire because you are no longer pushing it away with the force of need. The manifestation paradox states that you receive what you want when you stop needing it, when you are content both with and without it. This feels impossible when you are deep in longing, when every cell cries out for their return, when you cannot imagine peace without their presence. But this is the work. This is the spiritual growth that relationships demand. This is the evolution your soul contracted to experience through this connection, which has brought both pain and the potential for awakening. You will know your frequency has shifted not through external signs, but through internal markers, through the deep sense of peace that settles into your bones, through the clarity that replaces obsessive mental loops, through the genuine joy you cultivate in your own company and the life you create when you stop waiting for them to decide. The shift begins within. It starts in your inner world, in the quality of your thoughts, and in the way you move through your days with increasing lightness and interest in experiences unrelated to this person or situation. You stop checking your phone every few minutes, hoping their name will appear. You stop crafting perfect messages in your mind, waiting for the right moment to send them. You stop analyzing every past conversation, searching for clues about what went wrong and how to fix it. The grip of mental obsession loosens, not because you've given up, but because your focus has shifted from them to yourself, from the external to the internal, from the relationship to your own growth and expansion. External confirmations begin to show up once the internal shift has stabilized. When you maintain your new frequency long enough for the quantum field to reorganize around your changed vibration, synchronicities multiply. You notice their name everywhere, but it no longer triggers emotional spirals. You encounter people and opportunities that reflect your new level of self-worth. You attract experiences that confirm your value, showing that you are desirable and worthy of love that is consistent rather than sporadic. This is when they begin to appear in your awareness in new ways, not because you are searching for them, but because they are energetically reaching toward you, testing the connection, noticing what has changed. You might encounter them in places you never expected. You might hear from mutual friends that they have been asking about you. You might receive messages that seem casual but carry subtle hints of curiosity and interest that were missing during their withdrawal. When you stop looking for them, you start noticing them everywhere. This is a clear signal that your energy has shifted, that your personal magnet has been activated, and that the frequency you now broadcast attracts rather than repels. They sense this change in ways they cannot fully explain. They feel that something fundamental has transformed. They notice that the person who once chased is no longer running toward them. This creates a vacuum, an empty space that their energy naturally moves to fill. Energy always flows to fill emptiness with presence, absence with return, and separation with reunion. They perceive your withdrawal before they consciously understand it. They feel the absence of your pursuing energy, like sudden silence after constant noise, like stillness after a strong wind, like the void left when something that was always there suddenly disappears. This creates discomfort in their system and sparks questions in their mind. It activates the pursuit instinct that lay dormant while you were chasing. Because the energetic dynamic has now reversed, they are in the position you once held. For some, this awareness triggers panic, the fear of having lost something irreplaceable. They realize that the person who was always available is now unavailable. The love they once took for granted has been redirected elsewhere or withdrawn into the self-contained wholeness you have cultivated. They begin to see you differently, to remember your value, and to recognize what they failed to appreciate when it was freely offered. This recognition creates magnetic pull urgency and the desire to reconnect before the opportunity disappears. For others, this withdrawal sparks a different kind of attraction, a respect born from witnessing your strength, a magnetism generated by the peace you now embody, a pull toward the healed frequency you have cultivated. Healed energy is inherently attractive. Wholeness naturally draws others, and the person who has done their inner work radiates a quality that resonates directly with the soul, even if the ego initially resists. They feel drawn to you, even if they don't fully understand why. They think of you, even if they can't pinpoint what has shifted. They are attracted to your energy because it now reflects the integration and balance they are seeking within themselves. This is why your inner work affects them. This is why your healing creates changes in their reality. This is why focusing on yourself rather than on them produces the very outcome you were seeking when all your attention was on them. Share this energetic insight with someone who needs to understand that true power lies not in chasing, but in becoming, not in pursuing, but in embodying. Not in convincing someone of their worth, but in knowing your worth so fully that it becomes undeniable to everyone you meet. The manifestation process begins with a radical shift in focus, a complete redirection of energy from the external to the internal, from them to you, from the relationship to your own consciousness, and the frequency you broadcast into the quantum field every moment of every day. You must become absorbed in your own growth, your own healing, and your own joy, completely independent of whether this person returns, recognizes your value, or becomes capable of the love you deserve. This is not strategy. This is genuine transformation. This is the real work of raising your frequency through joy that comes from within, rather than seeking it from their validation or presence. You engage in activities that genuinely excite you. You pursue interests that fully absorb your attention. You build a life so full, rich, and satisfying that their absence becomes just one detail among many rather than the defining feature of your existence. You become the person who does not need them, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've begun caring about yourself with the same intensity you once directed toward them. This version of you, whole, healed, and self-sufficient, is irresistible because it embodies what the human psyche is programmed to desire: completeness, confidence, internal validation, and the freedom that comes from not needing anything outside yourself to feel whole. They are drawn to this version of you in ways they could never be attracted to the version that was chasing, pleading, explaining, or trying to convince them of what they already should know. You manifest reunion not by craving it desperately, but by becoming someone who is fine either way. By cultivating such deep contentment within yourself that their return becomes a welcome addition, not a requirement for your happiness. This is the frequency shift that changes everything. This is the energetic transformation that rewrites your entire story. This is the manifestation process that works because it aligns you with universal laws instead of fighting against them. When you become the person who does not need them, you become magnetic not only to them, but to everyone who resonates at the frequency of real love, secure attachment, and genuine partnership, rather than the vibration of fear, scarcity, and desperate grasping. Quantum physics shows that multiple timelines exist simultaneously. Several versions of reality coexist in parallel until the observer's consciousness collapses one possibility into material manifestation through the act of observation, shaped by the frequency broadcast through the beliefs and expectations held in your energetic field. You already exist in multiple timelines. In one timeline, this person returns, transformed and ready for the love you have always offered. In another, someone better arrives, bringing everything you desired from this person plus qualities you never even imagined. In yet another, you realize that your wholeness was never dependent on anyone else, and you experience joy far beyond what any relationship could provide. Your energy, frequency, and consciousness determine which timeline collapses into your experienced reality. This choice is made not through conscious effort, but through sustained vibration, the energetic signature you maintain daily, and the beliefs you hold about yourself and what you deserve. In one timeline, they return because your magnetism is irresistible. They return because your healing triggered their own growth. They return because the contract between you demands completion and integration rather than separation and wounding. In another timeline, they fade from your life to make space for something better, someone whose presence enhances your life rather than complicating it, a love that flows naturally instead of requiring constant effort. Both timelines lead to your happiness. Both serve your highest evolution. Both contain gifts that your current self may not yet perceive because you are still operating from a place of lack rather than abundance. You are the creator of your reality. You are the consciousness that determines which quantum possibility becomes your lived experience. The universe responds to your frequency with perfect accuracy and precision in every moment. Choose wisely the thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold, and the energy you embody, because these choices decide which version of your future appears to meet you in the present.